welcome. You're with the news on India Today. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and the big story on India's agenda to get justice for Kulbhushan Jadhav, to get him back to our country and to secure a stay on his sentencing from the International Court of Justice. It's a day that the entire country has been waiting for. An 11-judge bench of the ICJ will be passing its verdict on Kulbhushan Jadhav. Pakistan's conviction of Jadhav and the subsequent death sentence to him on charges of espionage have been challenged by India.
It's judgment day for Kulbhushan Jadhav. The 11 judges have deliberated. In the history of the International Court of Justice behind me, this is only the second time that such an emergency quorum was organized, such an emergency hearing was organized, and the verdict is coming so quickly. So it was on the 8th that India approached the International Court of Justice. On the 9th, the president of the ICJ issued an interim order requesting Pakistan not to change status quo. That means not to hang Kulbhushan Jadhav till the time the court deliberated on that matter. On the 15th, for 1.5 hours, India spoke. For about 90 minutes, Pakistan was supposed to speak, but Pakistan did not take its full quota. Pakistan spoke for about 52 minutes, and subsequently, the judges have been deliberating. So 15th, 16th and 17th, the judges have burnt the midnight oil. India's main plea to save an innocent man being sent to the gallows. Irreparable loss should not happen to India and to Kulbhushan Jadhav was Harish Salve's principal plea. At 12 noon local time at The Hague, 3:30 Indian Standard Time, the verdict will be delivered. India's confident it has a strong case. There's been a violation of the Vienna Convention of consular access. 16 attempts made to seek consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, all denied by Pakistan. His human rights were violated. On those two principal grounds, India is hopeful of a favorable verdict. Pakistan, on the other hand, said that there was no threat of irreparable loss. So Pakistan claimed that despite Pakistan's military court handing out a death sentence to Kulbhushan Jadhav, there was no imminent threat that hanging will be carried out. But slender was the thread. India did not want to take a chance, and now all eyes on the highest temple of international judiciary to deliver a verdict. Gaurav Sawant at The Hague for India Today.
In fact, before the International Court of Justice, India has put forward clinching evidence to show that the picking up of Kulbhushan Jadhav was illegal, as was his trial. But one important testimony in favor of India's stand has come not from an Indian source, but in fact former German ambassador to Pakistan, who revealed how the former Navy officer was actually captured, kidnapped by the Taliban and then sold to the ISI.
According to the Vienna Convention, I mean, India would have the right to get in contact with the person if he is an Indian being arrested in a foreign country. So the embassy should be allowed to be in contact. We have the same case with Turkey, actually, with it.
In Karachi, you said that your information was that he was arrested by the Taliban and sold to ISI.
Yeah, that's right. I said it there because it was a rumor given to me by some people saying, well, but the Taliban are actually also active in parts of Balochistan on the border to Afghanistan. Apparently, it happened in these areas that when they arrest somebody, they try to get the most out of it, so they sell it to the party which gives them the most money. I mean, this has happened in several criminal cases, you know, of kidnapping and then selling or reselling people, not only in Pakistan but also in other countries like in Syria, for example.
You are firmly of the opinion that India should have got consular access irrespective of where he was picked up and what circumstances he was picked up in.
Definitely. If he is any embassy or consulate general has the right to have contact with any citizen who is being arrested or who's being arrested or accused for something in a foreign country. This is the normal according to the Vienna Convention.
Now, this case has seen several ups and downs, twists and turns, till finally India decided to make an exception and actually go to the International Court of Justice. What prompted India to take this major gamble, we tell you.
I submit that India has a strong case for provisional measures as an indication that the death sentence be not executed until such time as the court has adjudicated India's applications.
After the big courtroom face-off on Monday, it's judgment day for Kulbhushan Jadhav. As the world's top court seals Indian citizen Kulbhushan Jadhav's fate, Kulbhushan Jadhav, an innocent Indian national who has been awarded death sentence after a sham trial by a military court in Pakistan on charges of espionage. And Pakistan stands exposed yet again, stubborn and brutal like always, refusing to accept the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice.
It is India which said a few years ago, in 1999, that ICJ did not have any jurisdiction. It is India which has changed its stance. India's arguments are on fire. India said when it is a matter between two Commonwealth countries, the ICJ will not have any jurisdiction. It is the Indian stance.
However, when India Today caught up with India's counsel on Monday, after the big legal clash, Harish Salve seemed quite hopeful.
The judiciary goes by past instances, sir?
Yeah, precedents.
They'll go by precedents. And we have a strong case.
I hope so.
And back home, India is praying for justice for Jadhav and his safe return. All eyes are now at The Hague. The question is, will the UN court deliver its verdict in India's favour? Will the International Court's verdict foil Pakistan's murder plot and save an innocent life? With Gaurav Sawant in Hague, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let's quickly tell you what to expect and why this case is important and what are the real merits and facts of the case. To deconstruct that, we've got Hitesh Jain, advocate, joining us, as is Rakesh Singh, advocate, Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal, defense expert. I'll come to you first, Hitesh Jain. We heard Harish Salve say earlier they'll go by past precedent. What does that mean? All right, we'll try and go across to him, but I'm sorry, we also have, most importantly, my colleagues, in fact, who are reporting live from the ground, Hamza Amir from Islamabad, and that question I want to put to Gaurav, who is outside the International Court of Justice. Now we have very few hours left. You, in fact, were the one who asked Harish Salve that. Will they stick to past precedent? Why is that important, and what does that mean, Gaurav?
There have been 3 cases of seeking urgent intervention of the International Court of Justice, and in each case there was threat of irreparable loss, which means a person could have been killed had the International Court of Justice not intervened. And Harish Salve is of the opinion that past precedents come in India's favor, whether it was Mexico versus the United States, Paraguay versus the United States, or Germany versus the United States. In those 3 instances, the International Court of Justice, it did opine. In this case, Padmaja, this has been only the 2nd case, India versus Pakistan, on Kulbhushan Jadhav, where India made an urgent application on the 8th of May. Harish Salve met the registrar of the International Court of Justice. The court was not in session. He convinced the registrar in under 20 minutes how there were credible reports to indicate that Pakistan would hang Kulbhushan Jadhav. Pakistan was not giving India consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, and that's the reason, Padmaja, that the registrar spoke to the president of the International Court of Justice, that's Judge Ronnie Abram. He used his extraordinary powers under Article 74(4), where he told Pakistan not to take any steps till the time this matter was being adjudicated by the International Court of Justice. This happened on the 9th of May. On the 15th of May, 11 judges came together and they heard India and Pakistan. And within 3 days, on the 18th of May, so that's 10 days from the 8th of May, we expect an interim order of the International Court of Justice, hopefully saving Kulbhushan Jadhav from the gallows. And that is India's principal plea. Subsequent pleas include consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, annulment of that sham military trial in Pakistan, and repatriation of Kulbhushan Jadhav to India. So now it remains to be seen of these 4 pleas made by India, which one will the International Court of Justice finally agree at 3:30 Indian Standard Time, 12 noon Hague time.
Absolutely. Okay, for everyone who's trying to understand why this day at the International Court of Justice is important, let me quickly bring in our panel of experts. We've got Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal, Rakesh Singh Advocate, Hitesh Jain Advocate. But General Jaswal, I want to go across to you first. And also we've got my colleague Hamza Amir, who's live with us from Islamabad, Rajiv Dogra, former envoy to Pakistan as well. General Jaswal, very quickly, for someone who wants to understand, is the court today going to say anything at all about the sentence given to Kulbhushan Jadhav?
In my expectation, the way Mr. Harish Salve, he contested the case, the interim order today is likely to go in our favor, because the way Barrister Qureshi, he contested the case, it was not substantial or substantiated by anything cogent, except for 2 issues, which is said what was the expediency, and the 2008 agreement, which actually needs to be read with the 2013. This is the committee, Judicial Committee on Prisons. So the 2013 is the later one, and I'm sure by now the judges in the ICJ, they are also going through the merit of the case, because the way, though they had rubbished the video, because they were convinced that this video would have been under duress, but the way the procedures have gone around over there, they will further delve on it and subsequently give a final order.
All right, Jen, just stay with me, because I also have with me on the phone line now Fawad Hussain Chaudhry. He's an advocate in Pakistan. Mr. Chaudhry, the court did not even find it fit for that video, the so-called confession video, to be allowed to be played inside court. Do you think that was the first indication that today is not going to be a very happy day for the Pakistani team at Hague?
You see, what I think that the video was not allowed to be played because the case was not heard on merit. The case is heard on the legal premises right now, and all the arguments attest that both the councils are on the interpretation of Vienna Conventions and ICJ jurisdiction. As far as merits are concerned, what little have been touched are that the passport was produced, which Mr. Jadhav has made with a Muslim name, and is a fake passport. And also the other documents that has been recovered from Mr. Jadhav have been produced. But primarily, it's not the case is not on the merits yet. The case is only on the legal premises, and the exclusion of terrorists and espionage. These are the 2 areas where that has been discussed.
On the merits, Hitesh Jain, what would you like to tell Fawad Hussain Chaudhry?
Well, on the merits, this case is based on the egregious violation of the provisions of Vienna Convention. The application by India to the International Court of Justice clearly demonstrated that on the 16th occasion, consular access was denied. Now, the Pakistan's argument is very flawed. They are saying that, ultimately interim relief has to be in the aid of final relief. And even if the consular access would have been provided, he still would have been convicted. But the root of the consular access goes to the root of the principle of fair trial. Fair trial requires fair access and fair representation. And ultimately, if India is able to, if the ICJ upholds the Indian position that the consular access was very important, it deals with the basic human right of an individual. That is the reason you have this consular access related provisions. So then it will go right to the root of the issue of the fair trial, and you may see the International Court of Justice ordering a retrial in this case.
Mr. Chaudhry, when the very basis of the trial is flawed, how can the sentence even be given any weightage?
Well, you see, this is the point. This is the vision of Section 30, Article 36 of the Section 2 that excludes the access to the consular to the person involved in terrorism and espionage. And this is the whole interpretation around which the case is involved, that the consular access has not been provided because Mr. Jadhav is involved in terrorist activities, and he has been caught red-handed in very deep inside Balochistan with a fake passport and the documents recovered from him killing.
Go on. This is just something that you are saying, that he is involved in terrorist activities and was caught red-handed. Based on what evidence?
Obviously, he has been caught red-handed. There is ample evidence to that. There is no denying to this fact. I mean, obviously, a fairy tale story that he has been Iran and brought to Pakistan.
No, that's not a story, and I want Rajiv Dogra to come in on this. Exactly my point, Rajiv Dogra, that the basis of this trial and the eventual conviction, all of this is blown full of holes.
Well, I'm glad you asked this question, because if Pakistan is so fond of showing its video, why did it not show the video of capture of Kulbhushan Jadhav from so-called Balochistan? Because no country in the world would not videograph that evidence. That is the most fundamental and important thing that any security force of a country would do, that look, here is this man who was spying and he was caught in our territory. Obviously, that is a fraud because he was kidnapped from Iran. So that is why Pakistan has no evidence. So if they say the whole case is fraud, Pakistan has perpetrated that fraud. Second, which spy in the world would travel to another country with his own actual passport, that means Indian passport? He could have easily been given or taken a Pakistani passport, Iranian passport, Nepalese passport, Bangladeshi passport. Why should he incriminate himself with a so-called Indian passport? So if Pakistan says it is a fake passport, obviously it is a fake passport because Pakistan has planted a fake passport. But rhetorics apart, the entire world knows that Kulbhushan Jadhav has been trapped and is made a scapegoat because Pakistan military wants to prove a point against the civilian government and wants to put India in a corner, saying that.
And while doing that, sir, have done a pretty bad job of even planting evidence. We're going to continue with this through the day as well. Running out of time right now. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us with your informed perspective.